What's up everyone? So today we have this mid-2010 Mac Pro 5.1 and what we're going to do is update it to Monterey, install Thunderbolt, install a Radeon RX 5700, and even install USB Type-C. So let's go ahead and get started, shall we? Alright, so the first thing I want to show you guys is I'm running macOS High Sierra, and here are my specs. And the next thing we need to look at right here is the BootROM. As you can see, I'm running 0089B00. So we need to update this. And the first thing you want to do is to shut down the computer because we're going to reset the NVRAM. So we're going to shut down. Alright, so next you're going to hold Option Command PR on the keyboard. And if you're on a Windows keyboard, it's Windows key Alt PR. And while you're doing that, you're going to press the power button on here. Alright, so we're back in the computer, so I'm going to type in my password, and as you can see, my screen is tweaking out, and if you look at the dock here, it looks different. This is because the acceleration is now turned off. So we're going to go to System Preferences, and click NVIDIA Driver Manager. Oh, by the way, this is only required if you use NVIDIA web drivers. You don't need to do this if you have an AMD card that's natively supported. So we're going to click the lock icon here, we're going to type in our password, and then once we've typed in our passwords, we're going to go ahead at the top here, it says NVIDIA WebDriver. We're going to select that, and then we're going to click Restart. And remember, this is only needed if you have an NVIDIA GPU that needs WebDrivers. So next, we're going to go ahead and download the Mojave Installer. Now, I'm going to download it using the Mojave Patcher. I believe you can download it from the App Store. I don't know if you can still download it if it's not already on your account, but if you want to do it my way, the extra way, you just click this link, and then we're going to go ahead and scroll down. Right here, there's a download button, and then I'm going to click mirror because when I tried direct last time, it wasn't working. It takes you to Google Drive. Then we're just going to download this. Alright, so we're just going to go ahead and click download anyway, and right here, it'll be here, so just click it, and then I'm going to skip verification, and then we're just going to drag this to our applications folder, and then once it's on the applications folder, we're going to go ahead and run this. Alright, so we're going to open this from the applications folder, and then we're going to click open. You have to shift right click and click open, and then as you can see, it says natively supported machine. That's fine. We're going to click OK. At the top, we're going to click tools, and we're going to click download macOS Mojave, and we're going to click yes. So it'll take 6 gigabytes, it says. Now I'm going to put this in the applications folder and then click save. And then we're just going to let this download now. So we'll come back once it's done downloading. Alright, so it's downloaded. So we're going to launch it. And when you launch it, it's going to ask you to update the firmware. So be sure to read this carefully. And once you do, you're going to click shut down. And we're going to have to hold the power button. And you'll see how that is done in a second. Alright, so as you can see, the computer turned off. So we're supposed to hold this power button until it starts flashing. Alright, it's flashing. So I'm gonna let go. Okay, that's the long tone. And as you can see, here, it's booting up. There's the EFI. As you can see, it says EFI update. And just opened that disk drive, which I need to clean. This whole computer still needs to be cleaned thoroughly, but yeah. So yeah, it looks like it's flashing the EFI update. So we're just gonna wait for this to flash, and then we'll check the BootROM when it loads up. Alright, so we're back. We're gonna click System Report, and as you can see, we're now running 144.000. So we're now on the latest BootROM. Alright, so let's talk about the BootROM. I recommend messaging Alex from the Mac Rumor forums to get more information on this. But basically, if you plan to use these long term, I recommend getting your BootROM reconstructed and cleaned by him. I've gone ahead and done that. So these next few steps, I'm just gonna back up my BootROM and flash the BootROM. If you don't plan on doing that, you can skip ahead a little bit. But anyways, let's go over that now. Alright, next we're gonna boot into recovery mode, and to do this you hold Command plus R while turning on the computer, and then you'll see this language selection screen. So I'm gonna go ahead and select English and let it load. And then once it loads, you're going to go ahead and click Utilities and click Terminal. In Terminal, we're going to go ahead and type in CSR Util Disable. And then it should tell us that we have disabled system integrity protection. So now we're going to just go ahead and restart the computer. Now that we're restarted, we're going to go ahead and open ROM tool. And here we're going to click dump system ROM. And then you can type in what you want. I'm just going to call mine Mac Pro High Sierra. Alright, so we're going to click save ROM, and it's going to ask us for our password. Just type in your password. And then once you have your password, it's going to ask you what type of flash chip you have. You need to physically look at this inside the computer. Now, Alex will tell you, or he'll send you some information on how to check this. So make sure you do the correct one. I did not select the correct one. I'm just doing this to show you how to dump it. And then there you go. We've gone ahead and dumped it. The other option is here, we have another utility we can use to dump the ROM. I prefer using this utility just to check how much free space you have in your BootROM. So if you open the ROM dump application here and just click open, now we're going to go ahead and click backup ROM here. And then it's going to ask you for your password. Just type in your password, and there you go. There's my free space at the bottom, and then it will tell you if everything's okay or not. So this is basically one way to check your boot ROM. Alright, so to flash your boot ROM, you click flash system ROM, and it's going to ask you that in order to do it, you must be in firmware programming mode. So that was what we did earlier, where we hold down the power button. So do that before you do this, and then just select your ROM, and it will flash it. Again, I do recommend getting your boot ROM reconstructed and cleaned up. Anyways, it's now time to move on to installing OpenCore. I'm going to go ahead and use OpenCore Legacy Patcher for now. We're just going to use this to make our USB. And then once the USB is made, we're going to use Martin Lowe's package to do the rest. So you're going to go here to the release. And then the release is at the bottom here. So we're going to go ahead and click the GUI offline version just so that we have all the files needed. And then you're going to launch the application. You're going to click Create macOS Installer. And then we're going to click Download macOS Installer. And now this will show us all the latest versions of macOS that we can install. Alright, so we're going to click 12.3.1 as of this video. That's the latest. And now that it's done, we're going to go ahead and insert our USB drive into the Mac. And we're going to click Flash Installer. So now I'm going to select Monterey. We have Mojave from earlier, as you can see, but we're going to select Monterey because we're going to install Monterey on the computer. And then we're going to select the USB drive we just put in. So this is the one that I just put in here. So click this, and now it's making the installer. Alright, so the installer is done. We're going to click Build OpenCore, and then it's done building it. We're going to click Install OpenCore. Now be sure to select the USB drive. So here's the USB drive. Don't accidentally select your boot drive. Then it's going to ask you for password. Alright, return the main menu. So now we're ready. Alright, now before I install, I'm going to install my NVMe SSD. So this is a generic adapter, and this is the Samsung SSD. Now, instead of just inserting this here, I have some thermal pads. I'm just going to go ahead and add onto the drive. There's no heatsink, so it's not going to make too much of a difference. Might help a little bit, but yeah. So once I put thermal pads on the back, we're going to go ahead and put one on the front. So this is a heatsink right here. So I'm just going to go ahead and put it like that. So let's first install it in here like this. And then there's one screw that holds it in. So we're going to do that. As you can see, it clears perfectly. And then next we're going to attach this on top. And then it will be held down by that one screw in the back right there. Alright, so I'm just going to tighten this up. Alright, so we're going to start off by opening up the computer so we can install the SSD. Before I do that, I'm going to remove the High Sierra hard drive. I had it just installed in there like that. Y'all didn't see that. And basically, we're just going to insert it like that. And before we do, we need to remove this little bracket here that holds all the PCIe things inside. Alright, and now we're just going to connect it right here. And then we're going to go ahead and start up the installer from the USB drive after we've gone ahead and put everything back together. Alright, so now we're booting from the USB installer, and as you can see, it shows up right here. So we're going to go ahead and click Install macOS Monterey, and as you can see, we have a boot screen right here. Here is the language screen. So go ahead and I'm going to click English, and now we're going to go ahead and click Disk Utility. And once it loads, we're going to click View, and then we're going to click Show All Devices. Now once you see this, I'm going to click my SSD. So as you can see, we can click erase, and then I'm just going to do the GUID partition map, and then we're going to change the format to APFS, and then click erase. It's going to take a bit of time, and it's done. So next we're going to quit disk utility, and then we're going to click install macOS Monterey. So we're going to click continue. It'll take a minute here. It runs pretty slow. And then you can click agree, agree again. And now we can select our disk and click continue. And now it'll install just like a normal Mac would. Alright, so it went ahead and restarted. So make sure it defaults to macOS Installer when it restarts. And it should automatically select it in 10 seconds, as it did right here. Alright, so it's done installing. We're going to click Mac, and then now it should boot up macOS Monterey. Alright, so here we go. So we're just going to go ahead and go through the setup real quick. So select your country. And again, it's going to be a little slow. I've sped up the video a little bit just so it's faster. I'm just going to breeze through all this. We'll do Apple ID stuff later. Don't want to make the setup too bulky just yet. As you can see, it's still laggy because we have no hardware acceleration. Just type in my information. I'll put location services on. It's fine. Don't share analytics with Apple. Screen time. Choose your look. I prefer auto. Alright, so it's loading. Keyboard assistant. This is because I have my PC keyboard hooked up to it. So I'm just going to do this real quick. And there we go. Now let's go to About This Mac. As you can see, we're now running Monterey on our mid-2010 Mac Pro. So here are all the specs, exact same as before. Next, we're going to go ahead and open up Safari. And we're going to go ahead and download Martin Lowe's package. So as of this video, it's this version right here. So we're going to click this to download it and click allow. Alright, so we're going to open this folder. Alright, so we're going to open up Clover Configurator, and then we're going to go to Mount EFI, and we're going to mount the one that's basically on our SSD, which is this one. So we're going to mount the partition. It's going to ask us for a password. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and drag the EFI folder onto the new EFI drive right here. As you can see, I just did it right here. And then in the EFI folder, you'll have your boot and OC folders. So make sure it looks like how mine does. And then here's OpenCore, configuration. And then we're going to click Bless OpenCore. And then it's going to ask you for your password. You may get this error like I did. For me, it seemed to work out perfectly fine. If yours doesn't work, you'll have to bless it using the High Sierra install from earlier. Alright, next we're going to upgrade the RAM. So right now we have 2 sticks and it's 64 gigabytes total. And what we're going to do is install 1 stick per CPU extra. So that'll be a total of 96 gigabytes. And it'll be triple channel instead of dual channel. So we're going to remove these tabs right here. Just push in and then pull out on both sides. And then once you have them both out, you just pull out the tray like this. Be careful. Alright, so as you can see, we have a total of 4 slots. Now, if you use 4, you get dual channel, but we're going to do 3. So make sure you check the numbers. It should be 5, 6, 7. And then once the stick is in, you just click it in on both sides. So the right side and the left side should both click in. There we go. And now we're going to do the same thing on the other side. So as you can see, it says 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to put it in slot 3. And we're basically going to do the same exact thing that we did on the other side. We're just going to push in so until it clicks on both sides. So click in and then click in here as well. Alright, this is our Wi-Fi adapter. So I got the iMac 2015 model. This is the Bluetooth 4.2 version. And this is the Bluetooth extension cable. And this is the cable needed for the Wi-Fi adapter. So I'll put a link in the description to this. Now, one issue I just noticed here is the adapter and the card don't sit well because of this connector. It's on the wrong side. It should be on the other side. So I just did a quick test fit here. And I'm going to insert this to the computer to see if it fits. And I think it might. Alright. So the first thing we're going to do is remove the antennas here and the screw to remove the original Wi-Fi adapter. Alright, so I've gone ahead and removed the connector from the Bluetooth adapter from the USB port and plugged in the one that came with my Wi-Fi adapter. Now, one issue is I had to break this off from the other side, and then once I broke them off, I connected the two wires that it came with like this, and I'm going to tape them up. And now on the other side, we have this connector which will connect to the new Wi-Fi adapter here. Alright, so next we're going to remove the antenna here that's connected to the OEM Bluetooth adapter. Just pop it right off. Once it's off, we're going to use this extension cable here and connect it right here to the antenna. Alright, so as you can see, I connected the extension cable and it's nice and tight, it's not loose. And here's how this looks. So I just routed it all the way back here and it's going to connect to where the Wi-Fi adapter is. So here's everything tied up. I went ahead and zip tied all the wiring, and now we're ready to install our new Wi-Fi adapter. And there's also a third antenna connector that I had to pull out that was hidden, so don't forget to get that one out. So let's plug everything in. Alright, so here you go. We have number 2 first, Bluetooth, number 1, and number 3 for the connectors. So make sure you connect these first before you connect the airport card to the adapter. Alright, so as you can see, here's everything. Everything's plugged in, and as you can see, it did work out. Alright, so this was given to me as a gift during this whole process, so I'm just going to open this up, and this is actually a good thing because we can use this to test out our new Wi-Fi / Bluetooth card that we just installed. So yeah, and this is the newest one that has a braided cable as well. So I'm just going to unbox all this and then we'll connect and see if it works. Alright, so the 980 Ti is finally going to come out. So I'm just going to disconnect all these wires here. Of course, I'm an idiot because I forgot to unplug the HDMI from the back. Don't forget to do that. And there we have it. 980 Ti. Now, the Radeon GPU is just slightly bigger, but it shouldn't be an issue. Alright, so next we're going to go ahead and do the Pixlas Mod on the Mac Pro. For those who don't know, the Pixlas Mod is basically taking a cable like this dual 8-pin to an open end and connecting it directly to the power supply lines. Now, when I first looked at this, it looked very scary. But after reading through it, it doesn't seem like it's that bad. And you'll have this video to go over everything. So first thing you need is this cable. There are 2 sources to get this cable. I'll put a link in the description to both sources. Next, you're going to need this kit. You don't technically need all these, you just need the yellow ones, but it's not that expensive. And you can use pliers, but I'm going to go ahead and use the actual tool for this. And of course, all this will be in the description. So the first thing you want to do is open the side panel. I've already done that, but basically you just, open the latch, take it out. And next, what you're going to want to do is we're going to remove this. Okay, so to remove the optical drive bay, you're just going to grab here and pull out like this. And just slowly let it come out. Wow, that is very dirty. So obviously what I'm going to have to do is clean this. But before we pull it out all the way. Alright, so we're going to remove these cables right here. They just come right out. So just pull them out. And then now you can pull this whole thing out. Alright, so I'm going to put this aside and clean it, and now's a good time to get all the dust bunnies out of this area, so we're going to go ahead and clean this whole thing. Alright, so next we need these 2 screws right here. So we have one here and one here. We're going to unscrew these. So basically you're just going to take this out like this. Alright, so next we have this connector here. You're just going to pull these up while holding these 2 tabs, and it comes out. So next we need to remove the power supply, and to do that we need to remove the 4 hard drive bays here. So I'm going to remove these. Alright, next you're going to want to take out any add-in cards. So I'm going to take out my Thunderbolt cards, and we'll also take out my SSD. There we go. So now I'm just going to put it over so we can look at the screws. Alright, so the screws that we need to remove is this, 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 and this. So you're going to want to use something that's flexible so you can get in here. Alright, so you're going to need a Allen key like this. Now the size is 332. And then we're just going to go ahead and do this. That's the bolts. That's the length of the bolts. And then we have this one down here, which is going to be a little bit harder to grab. Alright, so now that all the screws are out, we should be able to just lift the power supply up like this. Now, while you're lifting it up, you're going to want to feed this wire through here. So just lift it up and feed the wire through. And this is extremely dusty. So it's a good thing we're taking this out because we're going to clean it up as well. So again, just get the connector. There we go. Alright, so look how dirty that is. I'm gonna clean this up and then we'll come back to the wires. All right, next we're gonna unwrap this right here. It's very sticky, so just be careful. This is also here. Let's get all this out of here. So there's 4 wires here and there's 4 wires here. All right, so these 2 wires and these 2 wires, the 2 at the top and the 2 at the bottom, are the ground wires. And then these 2 wires here and these 2 wires here are gonna be the 12 volt. So what we're gonna need to do is grab a knife and we're just gonna slowly cut a little bit of the outer layer here so we can add our little clips on. All right, so what you're gonna do is grab a knife and you're just gonna cut enough so that you can see the wire. You don't want to cut too much, so just cut enough and then you can start seeing the wire. And you want to do this basically all around. So now honestly, that's probably enough on this side. So we're just gonna get one from the other side. So just go around each wire, basically doing what I'm doing, and we'll come back when I've cut this. All right, so next we're gonna go ahead and grab this piece and we're just gonna put it right here like this, and we're just gonna hold it like this. So now we're gonna crimp this, and to do that, all right, so as you can see, we have crimped it, and then we're gonna move on to the next wire. Okay, so right about here. All right, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 grounds, 1, 2, 3, 12 volts. Now you may have noticed that I put 2 grounds on 1 wire. And the reason for this is because we have a total of 5 adapters and only 4 wires. So it doesn't really matter which one you put this into, but you just need to put them onto one of them. So now we're gonna go ahead and put this power supply back into the case. So I've gone ahead and cleaned up so it looks very nice again. And to do this, we're just gonna stick it through like this. And hopefully this works out. Slowly maneuver them through. And there we go. So now we have our cables here. Now before anything else, next we're gonna go and modify the other wire. Alright, so what I've done is I've tied all the wires together. And now we're just gonna go ahead and feed it through down here. There's a very small opening, you just gotta find it. Once you do, stick it through, and there we go. So, just get this through here. There we go. So we got our wires, and I'm just gonna stick all this through. We only need enough to get to the GPU, which is only around here, so honestly, this is probably good enough. There we go. Yep. So now I'm just gonna have to undo this. All right, so next, so these wires don't come pre-cut, so what we're gonna have to do, so I'm just gonna actually get myself some more leverage here. There we go. So what we're gonna do is grab one of these. We'll give ourselves about that much. So I'm gonna do this, and then, there we go. So about that much, and then what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna put this in half just to give us some more leverage. All right, so now we have our crimping tool. We're just gonna grab one of these, and stick it in like this, and basically gonna hold it in like that. And then I'm just gonna go ahead and stick it in just enough, probably right about there. There we go. Wires nice and snug, and it is in pretty good. So that one's done. So now we're just gonna do the same thing for all these other wires, and we'll come back when we're done with that. All right, so we have all the connectors made. Now all we need to do is connect them to the other side. So the way this works is these wires have a little tab here, and so do these. You just need to see which way they go. And basically to connect them, you're just gonna stick this in here like this, and just make sure that it goes in. All right, so I routed the wires like this around this post, and we're just gonna try and keep things as compressed as possible so that we can add this panel back on. So basically, we're just gonna drop the panel in, and there's 2 tabs that need to go in, and there we go. So now I'm just gonna screw these in. All right, so we're just gonna screw these in. We're just gonna insert this right here. then of course we're just gonna connect this. Now this GPU hopefully works well. It was a mined on card, but I got it for a decent price, so it should be fine. So just like the other one, we're just gonna stick it in here like this. And this card requires an 8-pin and a 6-pin, just like the 980 Ti that was in here. So power wise, it should be fine. We'll see if this thing shuts off under high loads. But yeah, there's that. Now next thing I'm gonna install is this card. This is a Sonnet USB 3.1 card. So 4 USB 3.1 ports. This actually came with the computer, so I'm just gonna basically put it back in like that. And lastly, we're gonna install this card. Now before we install this card, we have to flash the firmware on here using our programmer. We'll do that after. Let's first get Monterey working with acceleration. So let's turn this on. All right, so now's a good time to test out the Type-C adapter that we have right here. So let's plug this in. All right, so we have the Type-C adapter right here. I'm just gonna plug this in like this. All right, so we're gonna plug this in and we'll see if it shows up on the computer. Just connected it. Press the on button here. And there you go. Magic Trackpad is ready and connected. And it looks like it's working. All right, so next we're gonna be opening this up. This is the Titan Ridge card. We are going to need some of these cables. I believe the one we need is this one, it looks like. Yes, that one. And of course, I'm also going to be needing one of these. I think that should be it. I don't think we need two, but yeah. Alright, so the first thing we need to do is remove these 4 screws. So I'll do that first. Alright, so with the cover removed, just comes off like that. We have these 2 chips here, and now what we're going to do is we're going to get the programmer, and we're going to back these both up, and then we're going to flash one of them. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and grab the clip, and we're going to clip this onto the blue chip first. So just check to see which way it needs to be oriented, and connect it like this. Make sure it's firmly on. And then we're going to go ahead and plug it into the USB port on the computer. Like this. Alright, so the first thing we need to do is download Homebrew. And to do this, you can open up Terminal and you're going to type in this command that I'm about to paste here right now. So just copy this command. Alright, so this is the command that you need to paste to download Homebrew. And just enter your password and let it download. And then once it's done, we'll be here. We're going to type in flashrom-p CH341A underscore SPI dash R original, and this is the firmware for the blue chip. So just type all this in and then .bin, press enter, and if it successfully reads the chip, you will see it say reading flash. And then once it's done reading the flash, we'll move on to the next chip. So it's done. Now you're going to switch the clip to the green chip, and once that's done, you can hit the up arrow and just change blue chip to green chip and back that up. Alright, so once this is done, don't forget to change the clip again to the blue chip. And then we're going to flash the custom firmware. So I'll put the link in the description to the custom firmware, of course, but basically we're going to type flashrom-p CH341A underscore SPI, and then -W for writing. And here you can just drag the file and then press enter, and it's going to write the chip. So it reads the chip first and then it writes it, and then if it's successful, you'll get a message saying it was verified correctly. Alright, it says verified, so we're done. The Thunderbolt card is now flashed. Alright, so next we've connected the header here, and what we're going to do is here we're going to short pins 3 and 5. Alright, so as you can see, I just zip tied all this, and we shorted the 2 pins. So 3 and 5 are shorted. I just made a little wire loop here. So before we install this, we're actually going to make a configuration edit real quick, and then we'll turn off the computer and install this. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and open the Martin Low package and click Clover Configurator. And then we're going to click Mount EFI just like before. We're going to mount our EFI partition. Once it's mounted, we're going to click Open Partition. And here we're going to go to the EFI folder, go to the OpenCore folder. We're going to open the configuration.plist, but we're going to use Other because we need to use it with TextEdit. So choose TextEdit and it's going to open, and it's the first configuration right here. So as you can see, it says here Thunderbolt 3 and the string is set to false. All we're going to do is change this to true. So change this to true, and then we're going to save the configuration file. So do File, Save, and then we're just going to go ahead and close this, click OK. Alright, so now we're just going to go ahead and press the space bar to preview the file, just to make sure that our configuration was correct. And as you can see, it says true. So now what we're going to do is we're just going to go ahead and turn off the computer and physically install the Thunderbolt 3 card. Alright, so now it's time to fill in that last slot. So as you can see, I tied everything up and everything's connected, so we're just gonna go ahead and connect this in here. Alright, so all the drive bays are in and I put the wire up, so we're gonna boot it up now. Alright, next we're gonna plug these into the back of the GPU. Alright, so these are supposed to go from the GPU. I'm not entirely sure which one's number 1 and which one's number 2, so we're just gonna plug this in like this, like that. Alright, so it goes up here like this. It plugs into GPU, so you have like a loop right here. Alright, so we have both plugged into GPU like that. Alright, and as you can see, upon booting, we now have Thunderbolt supported on the Mac Pro. Alright, so one issue that we have here, I'm going to show you guys, is when you turn this on, the Thunderbolt display is not going to work, but this is going to work. Alright, so as you can see, macOS shows up on the HDMI port. Hooked up here, but the Thunderbolt display is not turning on at all. It's funny because the USB devices hooked up to Thunderbolt ports are actually working fine. And what's even more interesting is my Dell dock actually works every single time, but the Thunderbolt display is not working. So here's how we get it to work. Once you get into macOS, so you'll notice in macOS it says that no devices are connected, even though this is actually connected. So to fix that, what we're supposed to do, so what we're going to do is unplug the display, plug it back in, and you will see here soon. As you can see, it's turning off, and it is now working. The Thunderbolt port, or the Thunderbolt display, is now working. Now here's the thing. So I'm just going to close this real quick. We're going to reopen this, and now you will see that it is here. It is showing up. But here's the new problem. If you go to sound, you will see that there is no sound from the Thunderbolt display. And if you go to camera, there's nothing here. Now here's the funny thing. I'm gonna disconnect the HDMI right here. So that way we get our Thunderbolt display resolution. There we go. And we're gonna restart the computer. And once we restart, you will see that everything is working again. It's restarting right now. Alright, so as you can see, we restarted. It shows the boot screen right here on the Thunderbolt display now, so we no longer need the HDMI device connected. And I actually don't know why it looks so big. It wasn't like that before. Alright, as you can see, we have booted up. Just gonna put in my password real quick. Alright, so we are now booted up. You go to About This Mac. Alright, so we're going to go to Thunderbolt, and just like before, everything is showing up here. But now, here's the cool thing. Go to System Preferences. We're going to click Sound. As you can see, Display Audio is here. Input, Display Audio. And if we go to Camera, Camera now shows up as well. So now everything works. Alright, so as you saw, the Thunderbolt display works, but it has this issue. What's really weird is my Dell dock doesn't have that issue. So if you're using a Thunderbolt display, your first cold boot, you're gonna get no video, so you need a second display somehow to see what's going on, to log in and then restart and then unplug it, plug it back in. And then even when it starts working the first time, you need to restart on a warm boot to get USB, the webcam, the mic, the speakers to work. So this is going back to my iMac Pro as a secondary display because I've got something that matches a little bit more around this era. Let's take a look. So I bought a 30-inch Apple Cinema display, as you can see here, and it matches the setup a lot better. Although at the end of the video I get rid of this, unfortunately. Alright, so next we're going to have this OCW Mount Pro. As you can see, this is how it looks. So basically it's just a metal bracket, and you can hook up your SSD to this, which I have an SSD right here, 512 gigabytes. Got this for free. So we're going to mount this on here. Alright, so screws are included, as you can see. Feels really good. So we're supposed to just slip it in here like this. And that's it. It's installed, and you can tell it's an SSD because it's blue. Alright, now that we've got our new GPU, we're going to open up Compressor for HVEC support. We're going to click this button here, click this, and click New Setting. And then we're going to click the format. So we're going to change this to MPEG-4, call it HVEC. And then here, we're going to click this button, go to video, we're going to select HVEC, and then for the encoder type, I'm going to choose slower for higher quality. I'm going to add another setting here. And for this one, we're going to call it MPEG-4, and then click OK. So for here, we're going to do HVEC and uncheck this allow frame rendering. And then here, again, just make sure you do uncheck the allow frame rendering. So close this. And now in Final Cut Pro, we're going to click File, Preferences, Destinations. And we're going to add here Compressor Setting. And then here, we're going to click the Custom button. And here's what we selected, and click OK. So now we just do File, and then we're going to do the Share. We're going to choose the Untitled MPEG-4. And then here, you can now export using the new settings. Alright, so in the process of making this video, 080 for the Martin Low package came out. So to update OpenCore, we're just gonna extract this, and then here we're gonna click it, and you know the drill by now. Open up Clover Configurator, and then we're gonna go to the Mount EFI. We're gonna click Mount Partition on the drive that has it. So just put in your password. Alright, so we're gonna click Open Partition. And then here's our original installation. We're just going to double click it, and then we have our two files or folders here. And we're just going to drag the new ones and overwrite the old ones. So when it says apply to all, and click replace. Alright, so it's been replaced. And that's it. There's no need to bless it or anything. But the configuration, I do recommend changing this. So go here, and we just need to fix the Thunderbolt that we did earlier. So alright, so once you have this open, just go through the file and make any changes you did in the previous configuration file, and then save it, and then you'll be good to go. Finally, you're going to close everything, and then just click Unmount Partition, and then you can just restart your computer, and you'll be running the newer version of OpenCore. Alright, so there you have it. Hopefully this tutorial has helped you install Monterey. I know when I was trying to do this, it took me like 2 weeks of research just to figure out how to get started and everything. So in the next video, I'm gonna install a RX 6800 in this because it now works in these. And then the video after, we're gonna go over the performance versus my iMac Pro and versus my M1 Pro MacBook, just to see how these stand and if it was worth it or not and all the other stuff. So be sure to subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.